So I'm just now realizing the downside to something I stated the last time I did one of these Pokemon polls videos. I said that I don't know how often I'm going to do it, like I'm going to do it monthly or whatever else, which will be around monthly. That if I wait too long, then there's a lot more polls to review. So today's video might be kind of lengthy. So if you're not aware, because my polls haven't ruined your YouTube feed yet, don't worry, it'll happen eventually. I post things like this. This one's a really boring example. All the time. Every day I post one of these polls, and the idea is that I can kind of course my camera breaks. I spend like 20 minutes making sure everything's good, and then my camera just does that. But the idea is that I will be going through all of the polls, giving my opinion on them, because I abstain from doing that in the comment section until I go to do this. I don't like to impact the results of the poll by giving my opinion. So starting off plain and simple here, who is your favorite member of Kalos's Elite Four? I love XY. XY is one of my favorite generations, and I think Pokemon is kind of at its peak around that time with, like, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, X and Y, all of that. These guys made no impact on me whatsoever. I really don't have an opinion here. If I was scrolling through and I saw this poll, I'd probably go with Wickstrom here, because he looks cool wearing all the armor, so I'd probably go with him. But good God, was he not the winner, so this is a pretty low vote poll here, but Drasana, I believe it's pronounced, ended up winning at 40%. I don't remember any of them. Yep, sounds about right. Why is Kalos the one that I recognize the least? I'm guessing that they just didn't have much of an impact. Oh, here we go. Here's an explanation. Because they suck, I think they only had 5 Pokemon that all knew 3 moves. And that combined with it being Gen 6, they were all complete pushovers. Meanwhile, outside of Gen 1, I think Gen 4 had the most memorable Elite Four, because people talk about Cynthia, but even, yeah. So yeah, I guess combat-wise, they also didn't leave much of an impact. Which one's the one I can remember? I remember Cybold. Like, I remember both of these two. Actually, I think I remember the first 3 more than I do the one that actually won. They're also forgettable. Yeah, I think Pokemon seems to do more with, these Elite Four here. So next up, which form of Calyrex is your favorite? You have the base Calyrex, which I don't think is going to win here. Then you have Ice Rider and Shadow Rider. Just going off of, like, looks and design, I mean, let's be honest, they're just writing Pokemon. I like the Ice Rider more. I tend to go a lot for, like, ice designs and stuff, and I think it looks really neat. But I'm guessing that Shadow Rider won. And what do you know? Shadow Rider won. I'm guessing it's a lot more useful. So yeah, base actually had 8% of the votes, which is kind of interesting. I guess those 8% of people who really don't like horses. But then we have Ice Rider with 21% and Shadow with 71%. I thought it'd be a bit closer than that. Oh, I said I'm guessing whoever the 8% was just don't like horses. And then we have my wife as the top comment saying she dislikes the little guy by himself. If I can be honest, I don't really care about any form of Calyrex. It's not an interesting Pokemon to me. Ice Rider is so underrated design-wise, at least 100%. So then we're actually getting into our first multi-part poll here, which is which frog/toad-based Pokemon is your favorite? And here in part 1, we have Venusaur, Poliwrath, Politoed, and Toxicroak. I mean, it's pretty obvious for me. I kind of like multiple Pokemon here, but it's Venusaur. Like, it's obviously going to be Venusaur, and I'd be shocked if Venusaur didn't win this. And no, I am not shocked. Yep, Venusaur at 48%. Politoed actually beating out Toxicroak and Poliwrath. I like Politoed. I would put Poliwrath above it. Same with Toxicroak, honestly. Politoed is the most underrated Pokemon. He has like 3 cards ever made. Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't remember a single Politoed card. Of course, we have to have the quintessential comment of, "You're wrong." Pretty sure Venusaur is not a frog/toad. Man, I don't know why I bother replying, but I just copied and pasted the thing from Bulbapedia. So, going into part 2, we have Seismitoad against Greninja and Bellibolt. For me, I actually really like Bellibolt. I think Bellibolt is a bit underrepresented. But Greninja is another hyper favorite of mine. It's not as high as Venusaur, but it's real close. I do love Greninja. So obvious Greninja vote for me. I also think it'd be shocking. Once again, we not only have a starter here, but a beloved starter as well. So Greninja's probably gonna win. I hope that Bellibolt's in second. Let's see, and yeah, Greninja won. 60% makes sense. At the end, yes, Bellibolt at 27%. Okay, cool. I'm happy that it beat out Seismitoad. I'd be pretty sad if it didn't. Seismitoad is kind of boring one. Well, Sony disagrees. I love you, Seismitoad. Able to chill little guy. People voting for Pokemon that aren't in this part of the poll yet. Poliwrath. God, Eevee in space hates Seismitoad, apparently. I cannot let an opportunity pass to vote against Seismitoad. Again, where's Politoad? Right here. Part 2. It's multi-part poll. Seismitoad makes me uncomfortable. Honestly, kind of same. And yeah, I should clarify, like it says right here on the poll, you should always read, by the way. I'm dyslexic and I read, so you can do it. It does say that lesser Evos are not included, so that's why you don't have like Bulbasaur and Ivysaur here. We're just doing the highest evolution possible in the evolution line. So that does mean that's all of our frogs and toads. So Venusaur against Greninja. I think Venusaur, again, I like more. I think it's also going to have the Gen 1 advantage. I'm pretty sure it's going to win here. Let's see. Yeah, and it was actually pretty close. It's about where I expected it to be, honestly. 60% for Venusaur, 40% for Greninja. So someone said that the Greninja is measured as the most popular Pokemon of all time on several occasions. I'm actually curious about that. I think at one point, when Greninja was still a new Pokemon, there was a big poll that was conducted in which Greninja did take the cake. But Greninja was like new at the time. We had like Ash's Greninja and all of that hype going on for it at the time. I don't think, they said here, probably because of my audience, and yes, my audience is going to be a bit biased, right? The people who vote in these polls who never watch any of my actual videos, they just vote, one of the polls gets on their screen, and they voted in it, and then now they keep pulling up on their screen, and they have no interest in my actual content. So it's not necessarily just my audience influencing things. I wonder if it's because Greninja's, the hype for it, all of the media and things done for Greninja, have greatly died down over time. Meanwhile, Gen 1 always gets all of the love from the Pokemon Company and Game Freak, and we get all of these things done for the Bulbasaur line as a whole still. And it's not like we don't get things for Greninja, but it's not the same amount. Oh yeah, there's another person saying that Venusaur isn't a frog or toad. They said it's a dinosaur. But that actually is a very common misconception. A lot of it has to do with "soar" at the end of the name. I linked them to a YouTube short that kind of explained the confusion / controversy. There are still people that hold out saying that it is based on a dinosaur and not a frog. So some people still make that argument, despite even Ken Sugimori saying that it's not. It's based on frogs. You know, the person who designed it, but there are arguments for it being based on a dinosaur instead. There are examples of what that dinosaur could be, but we're not going into that. Alright, now we get to another multi-parter here, which is actually the smallest Pokemon. Each of these are just 0.1 meters tall. Which is your favorite? So these Pokemon are all generally the same size. Pokédex representations are not always exact one-to-one. We have a very limited system for it, but these are all considered to be the same height Pokemon, all being the shortest. Joltik, Flabébé, Cutiefly, and Comfey. For me, it's an easy Joltik vote. Like the other three, I just kind of don't care about literally at all. And it seems that the internet agrees. 69% of the 1,300 votes went to Joltik. Then 16% to Cutiefly, 11 to Flabébé, and 4 to Comfey. Joltik sweep 1,000 years of the goofy fella. How much does it choose from three of my favorite Pokemon? Really? Like, I knew that there are going to be fans of these, but I guess if you like one, like Cutiefly, Comfey, and Flabébé all feel like they kind of belong in the same ecosystem together, right? Kind of makes sense. And then for the other half, there are 8 Pokemon that are all 0.1 meters tall. We have Cosmoem, I think it's supposed to be pronounced. People like to call it Cosmom. Sinistea, Gimmighoul specifically in the roaming form. And then Poltegeist. I gotta give it to Gimmighoul. I like the little guy. I feel like Gimmighoul isn't that favored. I think a lot of people don't care for the little Gimmighoul. I love him. He's a little goblin. He just wants his money. And okay, yeah, kind of expected. Legendary kind of takes the cake here. Cosmoem with 38%. Then Sinistea with 28. Then my boy with, hey, still 1/4 of the 1,300 votes. Then we have our little thing of tea, I suppose. Yeah, I think Cosmoem won because of the meme of Ash holding it in his hand, despite the fact that it's one of the heaviest Pokemon in existence. We'll actually be getting to that later. But I also think it just won because it's a legendary, and I mean, you have Cosmog's whole thing, and it's just a popular Pokemon. So then we get to the finale, Joltik against a legendary. Again, I want to give it to Joltik. I hope that Joltik won here. I don't think it did. Oh my god, Joltik won! Hell yes! 81% too. Again, we have 1,300 votes on this one. So usually on these multi-parters, the number of votes kind of like taper off the longer that they go. 1,300 all throughout, but JunkSeeker with 81%. With a little Cosmom here at 19. Like, that is, the person said JunkSeeker sweep earlier. That's 100% what happened here. JunkSeeker just sweeped. Yeah, like, again, top comment, JunkSeeker sweep. Hey, ASIN4, somebody watched my first video on the polls and they decided to come vote in themselves. Well, hey, now you're in one of them. JunkSeeker is who he is. Man, yeah, that's why he deserves it. I'm a Nebby stan, will die on this hill. Then you shall perish. Yeah, I don't think JunkSeeker's winning that fight if they're actually going head-to-head. Oh, speaking of Pokemon going head-to-head, wow, this has a lot of votes. 2.5 thousand votes on who's winning this fight. Kinda wild. Dusknoir against Cofiguris. I never knew exactly how to... Let's look it up.
Cofagrigus.
Cofagrigus? Did I just say Cofagrigus? Also, why is the next video 30 minutes of silence? Signed out YouTube is wild.
Cofagrigus.
Cofagrigus. It's like coffee, like Cafe Grigus. Huh. Anyways, the whole point of these polls isn't just voting for which one is your favorite, but if they were of equal level and they were to go head to head, who would win in a fight, right? I don't really do a lot of research into these to find the answer for myself. I'm more so interested in seeing what people think, and part of the downside is some people just think that they just pick their favorites, but it can be interesting looking at comments to see who they believe will be the winner here. So the goal is to pick Pokemon that are like iconic or whatever else to be going up against each other. I'm just gonna go with Dusknoir because I like the guy. And people seem to agree, 68% to 32%. Let's see if anybody has some good explanations. He's got 4 hands, 2 to hold on Dusknoir and 2 to throw punches. You know what, that's a good argument. In the games, Cofagrigus has higher BST, but let's be honest, Dusknoir makes black holes that lead to literal hell just by opening his mouth. Nothing takes that. So yeah, I guess there's an argument of, are we talking like in anime, or are we talking in game? I said Cofagrigus because if you're going to throw hands, it helps to have more of them. Yeah, good point. Alright, now we get to the part of the video where you're going to be scrolling down and hitting the dislike button. Which starter from Sinnoh is your favorite? There's Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup. This was my least favorite generation. Diamond and Pearl was by far my least favorite games, and Platinum didn't really help in my eyes. I also think that it had the weakest lineup of starters, and I don't like any of the 3. Now, if I had to go with one, which I did whenever I played the games, it'd be Turtwig. But obviously the winner is going to be Piplup because of 2 reasons. One, people just love Piplup, and the other reason, my viewers know that I despise that little pink one more than any other Pokemon. So they're gonna vote for it just to make me upset. Yeah, so we're not really getting unbiased polls all the time on the channel. 48% for Piplup, 29% for Turtwig, and 23% for Chimchar. Hey, at least Turtwig got second, which I didn't actually expect, by the way. I thought surely Chimchar would beat Turtwig. I thought Chimchar had a lot of fans out there. Maybe I'm just thinking of like from like my childhood. Maybe Chimchar was more favored back then, the new Fire Monkey. See, Kentaro, we have a firm disagreement here. I think Gen 4 has the most balanced starters in terms of design, typing, Final Evo's usability, and popularity. No. Also, in terms of popularity, I think that's like objectively not true. I think Piplup way outclasses the other 2 as far as popularity is concerned. I feel like you see a lot more on it than you do on Turtwig or Chimchar. They ditched Rowlet for Turtwig in Legends Arceus. That's painful to me. That is sacrilege. Picking Turtwig for my brother, otherwise this gen I don't really care for the starters. Again, I agree. And yep, there it is. Piplup, in before Seeker has a crash out about Piplup. Yeah. Alright, favorite of the loyal 3. So we have Okidogi, Monkey Dory, and Pheasantipity. I like the loyal 3. I feel like they get a weird amount of crap. I think that they're well-designed Pokemon. As far as my favorite, I'd probably go with Monkey Dory, even though I think Pheasantipity is the funnest one to say. Although Pheasantipity is apparently very good in the TCG, so it might have gotten some more votes from... Yeah, again, my channel is primarily focused on the card game, so it might have gotten a lot of votes from people that play the card game, because the Pheasantipity card is apparently good for basically any deck. And so you're going to have people that get attached to a Pokemon because of its usability, because of its viability, right? It's the same thing whenever I was actively playing the TCG. There was a Miraidon deck that I used a lot. And I like Miraidon far more than Miraidon. But I started to get some love for the guy because of how useful it was in the card game. So if I had to guess, Pheasantipity is going to take this one away. And it did. 60%. Yeah. Oh, and my guy got last at 12%. I remember this one. According to my niece, she's 6, these are the Stupid Trio. They're called Stupid Dog, Stupid Monkey, and Stupid But Pretty Bird. So even 6-year-olds are hating on the Loyal 3. Right here, exactly what I said. As a TCG player, I have to say it's Fez. Because I don't play Monkey and don't like seeing him on my opponent's bench. Okay, so I guess Monkey Dory's also good in the TCG. But Pheasantipity, again, is good for like every deck. Pheasantipity doesn't fill me with disgust, so it wins by default. I don't understand the, like, hatred for the Loyal 3, man. I think the same issue we get with every new Pokemon generation or DLC or just new Pokemon. There's always an extreme vocal amount of hate for it. But then over time, it just starts to feel like it does fit in with the rest of the Pokemon, right? Like, new Pokemon gets introduced, it feels like you're looking at something bootleg or something from, like, another creature collector game. It doesn't feel like part of Pokemon's identity. And then, after a year or two, or even after the next generation releases, the temperament and the hatred for the new things start to die down. The Loyal 3 are still extraordinarily new. That's my opinion anyways. We'll see if I'm correct in a couple years, if the Loyal 3 hatred has died down or not. Again, I think I won't vote because I hate these things. Again, they're all bad. Like, worst legendary trio. Man, okay, I guess it is a trio now because we got an Amorous, but you don't think, like, Tornadus and Thundurus were, like, the worst before an Amorous happened? They're all pretty lame. Like, man, so much hatred. So I don't know where they're from. Yeah, it is a DLC. Pheasantipity because it's the least ugly one. Come on, Obsidian. No earthly idea what these things even are, but the bird looks neat. Alright, let's move on. Only 2 Pokemon share a ghost/fairy typing. Which is your favorite? And this is actually a bit of a toss-up. There's a lot of love for Mimikyu. There's also a lot of love for Fluttermane. I feel like the winner has to be Mimikyu, right? I also don't fully agree with the massive amount of love for Fluttermane. I'm not a big fan of either of these two, but I like them both. Fluttermane is just kind of odd to me. So I'm going to go Mimikyu. I'm also guessing that's who won. Yeah, okay. Not quite as close as I had thought it was going to be. 82% for Mimikyu, 18% for Fluttermane. Neat little conversation here. Mimikyu is the most interesting and unique Pika clone, but probably my favorite Pika clone. And someone said it isn't really considered a Pika clone, though, but I can see it as a Pika clone as well, and so do a lot of people. Yeah, I think it's very debatable. I don't think it really is a Pika clone, even though it's literally trying to be one. But unlike the others who were just born like that, he's actually trying. We gotta give him credit for that. Yeah, he really wants to be a Pika clone. All right, there is that. Another one of these who's going to win in a fight. We have Superior against Sceptile. So again, these are picked mostly because they're both grass starters. That's kind of about it. I like Sceptile more, and I feel like it has a lot more going on. I feel like it's probably who won here. Yeah, little close here. So Superior at 38%, Sceptile winning out 62%. Leaf Storm Superior goes hard. Also, the Sniper line is my favorite starter line, so I'm voting Superior. I can't say I've ever heard someone call that their favorite starter line. I do think that Snivy's pretty cool. I just think that Superior just being this armless grass snake is like, I don't know, man. Sceptile has the slight edge, being able to attack with its bug moves and Mega Drain / Leech Seed with a higher attack, special attack, and speed. And if it Mega Evolves, no amount of RNG will matter. Fair point. Superior is weaker, but it can choke Sceptile before it knows what hit him. Superior has no arms, but it's one of my favorites, therefore it'll win. Sorry, Obsidian, I don't think it did. So this is another one of those goofy, fun ones. It's not really meant to be taken seriously, although some people still take my goofy, fun ones oddly seriously. Like, there's no competition here, this was dumb. Like, no, it's just meant to be fun. Which Pokemon would be the worst to keep as a house pet? We have Muck, which the fumes violate OSHA regulations. The thing, I was looking into, like, the fumes that Muck gives off, and, yes, it would actually be considered, like, you couldn't really have that in a job site, let alone in your home. Magcargo, when it says hotter than the sun, that is literal. Magcargo's Pokedex entries literally describe it as being hotter than the surface of the sun. Guzzlord literally eats everything, and then Pineco just kind of explodes sometimes. It just kind of feels like it. And yeah, I gotta agree. Being hotter than the surface of the sun living in my house sounds like kind of the worst thing that you could have in your home. So 49% of the 1,500 votes. Yeah, actually, very strong argument here. Guzzlord legitimately destroyed its entire original universe purely out of greed. So I'm going with it for the worst pet to have. Yeah, I think I could just like move if there was a mad cargo in my house, right? Maybe a few neighborhoods away before it burns everything down. But yeah, Guzzlord might just eat the whole universe. So yeah, I think I'd rather have mad cargo over that. Ricardo will literally set everything to flames. Right now, Mr. Mime isn't looking so bad. So another interesting argument here. There are ways to make 3 of these work. Muck has fumes and poison. Follow safety protocols to store him like you would chemicals. Yes, I agree. But it's also a pet. Like, are you just gonna, like, store your pet in the freezer to keep the fumes out, right? Mad Cargo's insanely hot. Air conditioning, fans, and tubs of ice in front of those fans. I actually used to do that. My first ever job, whenever we'd have, like, inventory come in, there was no sort of AC or anything in our warehouse. And so during the summer, metal roof and all of that, it was extraordinarily hot. And so we would actually do that. We sold ice, and so we would go, one of us would go spend our own money to buy a bag of ice, and we had a cooler in there and a large box fan, and we would just fill it with ice. We'd kind of flip it on its side, and bam, AC during the course of emptying out the truck. It felt very good. It was a very beneficial thing. But the heat of that warehouse wasn't quite matched by the heat of the surface of the sun. I don't know if the ice fan trick would work as well. Panko sometimes explodes. Well, if it has triggers, avoid them. That's fair. Or install one of those bomb reduction chambers and have it live in there. Yeah, I guess giving your pet its own room in the house would kind of work. Guzzlord eats everything and does not stop. Even if you manage to convince it to not eat your house, your food bill will be far greater than doing all of the work the other 3 would need to be housed combined. Again, good point. I am very much now on the side that Guzzlord is the correct option here for the worst house pet. Did you watch the Bumbles McFumbles video? I can't say I know who Bumbles McFumbles is. Bumbles McFumbles. It seems like a lot of like, almost like top 10 list kind of deal, although they actually do a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh as well. Oh, which Pokemon is the worst pet? Oh, it's an hour and a half long. Okay, Bumbles McFumbles, I guess I need to watch your video here. I see Absol in the list. How could Absol be a bad pet? Oh, right, so this poll was posted on Christmas Eve. You get 1 guaranteed Pokemon gift tomorrow. What are you picking? A booster box of your favorite set, your vintage Grail card, a massive pile of repacks, or a PSA 10 V-Star marker. In case you're curious, that image at the bottom is not a joke. PSA will grade your V-Star markers. People do pay PSA money to grade a V-Star marker. Now, of course, if your goal is just monetary value, you could just do booster box on my favorite set. Yeah, I want a base set first edition. Like, but the images here are actually like compelling for me because I did choose my favorite set here, which is Cosmic Eclipse, and my Grail card, which is the Absol here. I'd probably go with the Absol. Cosmic Eclipse set is going to be very expensive to get a booster box of, but I also already have a lot of the cards I want from that set. Personally, I just want my Absol. That card's price is constantly fluctuating, but it's usually around like 120 or so. And I don't want to spend that kind of money on the card, at least not yet. Especially now that I'm doing YouTube full-time. I can't afford that card. And yeah, kind of what you would expect, 63% for the booster box. Then the Grail card, pile of repacks is obviously going to be at the bottom. Then V-Star marker, it's the joke option. Yeah, but of course it beat out the pile of repacks. See, MJ Holding Company, nobody wants your trash. They just buy it because they can't buy anything else because there's nothing else on the shelf. Booster box of Shrouded Fable, really? Interesting. I like Shrouded Fable, but that's an interesting choice for your favorite set. EX Delta Species, actually fantastic choice. I now wait for you sending me that base set box. Yep, there's the person going for value here. PSA 10 Illustrator Pikachu. I know I'm in the minority here, but I would be absolutely okay with a box of repacks, so long as there weren't too many duplicates. I collect cards for the art, so I can get a ton for not a lot of money. That would be great. And yeah, I think that it's not a bad choice, right? And if somebody gifted me like repacks for Christmas, I'm gonna be happy about it. Actually, I have been gifted like third-party repack products for Christmas, and I was happy about it. A booster box of Pokemon Go. Well, first off, they didn't do booster boxes of Go. It's a special set, but that's extraordinarily interesting. Like, Pokemon, the Go set got so much hate. I liked it. The Go set was cool, in my opinion. Now, I was chasing down a certain card from the Go set and couldn't pull it, so I have like a 12 episode, I think, playlist of me buying and opening Pokemon Go set stuff, just trying to find that card, so I don't ever want to see that set ever again, because it was so small, and I might as well be close to a master set of it at this point. So I'd be happy not to do it anymore. But I still think it was a fantastic set. It's interesting to see somebody wanting the equivalent of like 36 packs, right? Of Pokemon Go. Or a booster box of Scarlet and Violet base. They're both were the first packs I've opened when I started getting into Pokemon TCG this year. That's interesting. I do have to wonder if they got into the TCG because of Pokemon Go. Booster box of Phantasmal Flames or a base set Charizard. We found the Charizard fan, guys. Alright, and on Christmas Day, Delibird is back here. Is generally considered to be the holiday mascot for Christmas. Do you agree, or do you think a different Pokemon fits better? And these were just off the top of my head, just Ice-type Pokemon that felt like they could be a mascot for Christmas. So they could vote for Delibird if they agree with it being considered the holiday mascot, or Aeolin, Ninetales, Glaceon, or Ice-Q. And yeah, I gotta agree, Pokemon Company did kind of make the right choice by doing Delibird as their mascot. It's literally a little Santa Claus. 71%. And Ice-Q at 6 is so upsetting to me, man. Like, I love Ice-Q. And out of these 4 here, if Delibird is removed, between Aeolin, Ninetales, Glaceon, and Ice-Q, I feel like Ice-Q would make the better mascot. It's still, like, a goofy little guy, right? Like, Ninetales and Glaceon are a bit more serious Pokemon, which feels weird for, like, a Christmas thing. I love Ice-Q. Delibird being Santa is just a really funny thing to think about. Imagine opening presents on Christmas Day and each one has an 80% chance of just exploding. Yeah, that's another bad house pet there. But then somebody else said, where is Stantler? And yeah, Stantler would have been a fantastic choice. I didn't think about Stantler. I feel like if Stantler was on this list, it would have still lost to Ice-Q, but it would have been a lot closer, and it would have easily taken second place. Stantler is a fantastic choice. I'm surprised the mascot isn't Pikachu with a Santa hat, to be honest. It kind of is. They do that too. Where is Jinx, the OG Santa's Pokemon helper? I just don't think Jinx had a shot. I think Jinx is also fitting, right? Like the robes that it's wearing. I don't think it would have had a shot. I also just didn't think about Jinx either. Yeah, I could have also done Iron Bundle, like they said here. Delibird just Iron Bundle definitely feel like they should be Pokemon's Christmas mascot. Iron Bundle and Delibird to me are just like two sides of the same coin, so eh. Yeah, then somebody here, they also pointed out Weird Tear, Cryogonable, and Winter Sawsbuck. Yeah, those are all actually better than what I chose. I still think Ice-Q deserves to be on the list, alright? I don't know about Cryogonable, Bull. I don't know about that one. It doesn't feel Christmassy, also feels very serious. So then we get to the bovine-based Pokemon. This is, of course, part 1, and I call it my favorite part because it's literally, who do you like the most? Tauros, or Tauros? Combat Breed, Blaze Breed, and Aqua Breed, then the original Tauros here, the non-Paldean. I don't really have a firm opinion here. Tauros is never like a super favorite of mine. I would have to go with Blaze Breed because I like the color red, or the original Tauros because it's just kind of like an iconic like Safari-mon to me. And what do you know? Tauros won. It actually went kind of in the way that I was explaining it. Yeah, Blaze Breed at 42%, and then the regular one at 35%. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Oh, Average Pokemon fan said that Tauros is their top 25 favorite Pokemon, and that it's their favorite one from Kanto. Interesting. So then we go on to part 2. We have Miltank, Bouffalant, and Terracon, which I didn't even think about the fact that it's a bovine or cow-based Pokemon until I looked into this one. But yeah, it very much is. And as far as my favorite of the 3, I'd probably just go with Miltank. It's really not a super favorite of mine, but out of these 3, it's iconic, right? You have to have the moo milk. And yeah, Miltank won 54%. Interesting that Bouffalant and Terracon, a legendary, were actually tied. I feel like it kind of shows you a bit of the opinion from the community on these Swords of Justice, and how they're just very boring Pokemon. The fact that a legendary tied with Bouffalant. Give boy Terracon some love, he's kind of cool. I do think it's cooler than the Bouffalant, right? But not by a whole lot. As the only vote 40 seconds into this being posted, I'm glad to see Miltank's at 100%. There's actually another poll that I did recently where someone said like, hey, I was the first vote. And then somebody else said, hey, I was the first vote. Little fun fact for you guys. I was the first vote. So I actually don't use my JunkSeeker account to watch YouTube, or at least not very often. I'll watch like Pokemon content with it, right? I have certain like content creators that I follow in the Pokemon scene with that account. It kind of keeps it isolated from my jumbled up feed on my main account. And so on my main account, I'll also get my own polls recommended to me, and I do vote in my own polls. Whenever you guys vote, it doesn't update that often. And so you'll vote and be like, I was the first one. The first like 30 or 40 people are all going to think that they were the first ones to vote in the poll. But there was like a weird argument that started over who was the first one to vote in one of my polls, and there's no actual telling who it was. Then we go to part 3, which is just between Iron Boulder and Tapu Bulu. Not the biggest fan of the Tapu line. I do like Coco. Tapu Koko is pretty cool. I never really think about Bulu or the others, but yes, Bulu is actually based on a bovine as well, mostly if you like look in the face area where it does have like the ring, you know, like the nose ring and all that, right? Oh, I didn't give my opinion. I would have gone with Iron Boulder, but it did lose at 44%, and then Tapu Bulu at 56%. So my case where Legendary beats out, right? Boulder isn't considered a Legendary, right? I don't think like any of the none of the future or past Paradox Pokemon are considered Legendary aside from Koraidon Miraidon, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the future Paradox version of Terracon is actually pretty cool. But yeah, Bulu did win somehow. Like I said, boyfriend material Pokemon. Hey, at least I'm not the only dyslexic in my community. Pokey Goth Mommy. Maybe get tested for dyslexia. I never noticed Tapu Bulu is a bovine, yet as I typed Bulu, I just auto-corrected to Bull. That's actually hilarious. No way, Tapu Bulu is winning anything? Yeah. Oh, finally, a bovine Pokemon that I actually care about, and it's losing. So then we get to the finale. We have Tauros Blaze Breed against Miltank against Tapu Bulu. It's kind of a toss-up to me with Blaze Breed, Tauros, and Miltank. I think what I've realized here is that I just don't really care for cow-like Pokemon. In this exact moment, I'm gonna say Miltank just because of the Moo Moo Milk and the iconicness of it. Ask me tomorrow, I'd probably say Blaze Breed Tauros. Let's see what the community said. And hey, okay, well, kind of what I was saying there as well. Miltank slightly edging out above Blaze Breed Tauros, 45% to 42%. Really close. And then Tapu Bulu at the bottom. Yeah. Pokemon wouldn't have made a Pokemon like that today, but now it can't be removed. Really fun design for Miltank. I feel like they would. I feel like they would definitely do something similar to Miltank now. We've had other kind of goofier Pokemon since then. I feel like Fido kind of fits like a similar vibe to Miltank. I don't know. Which one of these Pokemon would make a better mascot than Pikachu? Now, anytime I do a poll like this, there are always people going, why is it this Pokemon here, or this Pokemon, or this Pokemon? I have multiple of these polls. This is just one of the sets of Pokemon that were selected. So Clefairy, Vulpix, Marill, and Wooper. It isn't which one, and I could have worded this better where I said which one would make a better mascot. I should have said which one, you know, if we had to replace Pikachu, which is probably how I'll word this in the future. Because the idea isn't that is better than Pikachu as a mascot, but rather which one of these four would be a better mascot than the other three, right? So again, there are going to be more of these in the future. This is just these four. And out of these four, I think Clefairy and Vulpix have very strong arguments here. Marill, of course, being Peekaboo. People love the goofiness of Wooper. Like, all super strong contenders. I would probably say Vulpix just because I love Vulpix's design. And it is a Gen 1, which is beneficial as well, I suppose. I feel like I'd have to go with Marill just because of the Peekaboo thing, and I feel like it fits a similar-ish vibe, right? And wow, it was crazy close. 1.5 thousand votes. Wooper went out with 29%. Then Vulpix at 25%, and then Clefairy and Marill tied for 23%. That was crazy close. And yeah, I kind of agree with this top comment right here. I think Clefairy runs the risk of having too much pink merch, which would make overly traditional parents not buy it for their sons. I don't even think it's just that either. I do think, while we're not going to be getting into politics and stuff like that here, I've never liked the color pink. I feel like a lot of boys just don't naturally, young boys don't get attracted to the color pink very often. It's not to say that isn't a thing. A coworker of mine, her son, his favorite color was pink, and he would wear pink clothing like a young little kid, right? But I feel like a lot of boys do detract from the color pink as like a favorite color of theirs, and it does feel girly because of, the way that we do toys. So I don't think it's just a parental issue. I also just think it's because of the way that toys are generally done, with girls having a lot of pink toys. Yeah, I think in general, the kids themselves wouldn't be as interested in Pokemon if we had a lot of pink, which we would have if Clefairy was the mascot. So I agree, it's probably not the best pick. Vulpix, despite being a baby nine-tailed fox, it's a bit too generic, very close to normal animal. Which would work for some series, but maybe not Pokemon. I could see that. I still feel like it feels very mystical, which does fit, especially the early vibes of Pokemon as well. As cute as Wooper is, I think it has the issue of being hard to express a full range of poses and emotions. What with it having less limbs than the average human and small eyes. Yeah, that's a good point. Without it having like arms and all of that, and it's kind of like shocked expression as almost like a default for him. I see what you mean. My vote would have to be Meryl. It's cute, posable, and very distinct shape and color. It would pop out well on merch and would animate well as a main character. Yeah, I think that person kind of summed it up really well. I do think Meryl would take the cake, and it did get my vote as well. Meryl is closest to Pikachu's body shape, and it is just it is just good. Yeah, that is why it was kind of called Peekaboo when we first got to see him. Meryl, because round. Said you when I saw the options. What would you want for the mascot then? You want something like super hardcore and serious. Charizard Mega X. That should be the mascot of the Pokemon series. Like, it wouldn't go over super well if we did that. Oh look, Meryl is an emote. Yep, OG Peekaboo. I remember Eevee if it was here, but I guess it's already a mascot. Yeah, I do think a couple years ago, we could have made the argument for Eevee. But it is the mascot. It's Pikachu and Eevee. They did that push so hard, man. But yeah, that is one of the reasons that I included Clefairy in this list. It was originally going to be the mascot. That was the plan for Pokemon, was for it to be the mascot. I know Clefairy was supposed to be the original Pokemon mascot, but I feel Wooper would be much better suited for it, because it's got the cuteness and popularity factor going for it, more so than the OG Pika clone for sure. I still think the OG Pika clone has a lot more going on, but I agree, Wooper does have a lot of popularity and would still look neat on like box art and on like packaging and all of that. Like, I think it would still do well. Clefairy is the only one with fingers. I do believe you are correct. Yeah, Clefairy is, well, Vulpix has toes, and when you walk on all fours, right, you could almost argue those are kind of like fingers. You only have 2 Gen 1 Pokemon, one already being the first choice before Peekaboo. I don't think what generation it came from really matters. Like, I did point out earlier, like, they have the benefit of being Gen 1, but you could make the argument that Pokemon could change, or that we could just assume that the others were a part of Gen 1, and then they stick those as mascot, right? I honestly don't think there is a replacement. Pikachu was evidently the best choice, and I don't fully disagree. Gender-neutral design and colors, iconic features, red cheeks, spiky ears, spiky tail. They did slow him down, which is sad. He was better when he was fat. The mascot would have to have been a Generation 1 Pokemon, and none of the others tick all the boxes. Again, we're doing theoretical here, so the argument of, it has to be a Generation 1! No, it doesn't. It's theoretical, right? We're assuming that Wooper and our little Peekaboo were a part of Generation 1, right? It's a theoretical argument we're making here. The closest one would be Meowth, but I think it being a normal type would make it less interesting than Pikachu. I agree, Meowth is also a very good choice, and I feel like for a period of time, Meowth was almost considered like a secondary mascot back during like Gen 1 days. I wouldn't say it was like quite as close as Eevee is now. But yeah, I agree, it is way too plain to be like a good mascot to represent the series. What is this bias? Wooper, this is a crazy comment. Wooper being the most popular is rigged. Who the fuck looks at Wooper and thinks, yeah, this is a good Pikachu replacement? Y'all are blinded by your bias, and it's gross. Again, these are the comments that I'm talking about. I'll get some people that take it unbelievably seriously. You're blinded by your bias and it's disgusting. You're a filthy human being because you like Whooper. Like, Twilight Core, it's just a goofy, funny little thing. Calm down, guy. What bias? Alright, if the next jump cut looks a little weird, it's because I have to go do something, and then I'll be back, so, if something looks out of place, that's why. Time did pass. So, of course, I had to do another one for the holidays. This one being for New Year's Eve. Which of these Pokemon would be your spirit animal for how you spent 2025? Slacking for slept through it, Slowpoke for still in June, Meowth for made money moves, Angerfii for feral and made a mess. Now, of course, I was hoping that my audience would be here in the made money moves, right? You would hope that, you know, my audience is doing well. Let's check in on them. Let's see how they're doing. Not well. They're not doing well. Meowth is at 13%. And then actually at highest is Grafii for feral / made a mess. And then Slacking and Slowpoke at 28%. Kentaro, I fully agree. I guess Slowpoke because, my god, this year fly by. You know, you're getting old. What feels, when what a year feels like now is a month felt like when you were in high school. Yeah, I feel like I'm paying my rent every other day. Someone needs to watch out for Sarah. Every year, I grow more and more feral. Hey, there's someone making money moves. And this one we went a little bit more personal with it. This was on New Year's Day. Making a little more personal, what videos do you most want to see from me in 2026? So we have the normal pack openings, which is basically my more standard, most common type of video. Opening packs and boxes and ETBs and tins, and I try to make them interesting. If you don't watch those, you should. If you're watching this, though, you probably also watch those. Weird Pokemon products. These are all actual thumbnails of mine, by the way. But weird Pokemon products, basically meaning whatever weird crap I can find on usually AliExpress and Temu, and, you know, I'm trying to mix things up more as we go. I did that video on card accessories from Temu, and that did really well, and people really wanted to see more like that. And so, if things go according to plan, the video before this one was me doing that again with things from Amazon. Those are really fun videos to do, and I kind of want to mix those in more as well. Then we have other / indie TCGs, and that was from my Estrals video. And then, I don't care, and/or who are you? Because again, you're going to have people who just see my polls and don't actually watch my content, so I kind of gave them a button to press. And is it really surprising? People want the weird, wacky stuff. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, yeah, I understand that those videos do the best on my channel. And yes, they are probably the most fun content for me to produce. It also takes a lot of time and energy and waiting for things to pop up, right? Like trying to discover things. Like we have like the card games from Peru, like the bootleg Pokemon cards, and I consider those to fall into the same category as the AliExpress and Temu videos. Because it's more weird Pokemon stuff, most of the time not really official. But then, like, ordering things from Temu and AliExpress and all of those sites, it takes a while for things to show up. If I try to, like, oh, I'm gonna purchase enough stuff for, like, 4 videos, right? Like, that's not always an option. They're cycling through inventory super often, and I'm usually just, like, picking the, you know, like, 7, 8, and 9 items that were the most interesting to me during my scroll through, right? And so, like, yeah, if I could release 2 or 3 videos on that every week, of course I would. It's also what makes me financially the most stable. I don't have the option. But yes, it is like probably the most fun thing that I enjoy doing on this channel. So I'm kind of happy to see up there at 76%. Behind that was actually the normal pack openings, which is my, not even just pack openings, my normal videos. But then we have the other / indie TCGs, and actually beating that one was I don't care and/or who are you. This was also put in place because last time I asked something like this, I had a bunch of people saying, I don't care, just do whatever you want. And they're just like, you say that, but you're in a very small minority of people who actually will watch every video that I put out, right? I still want to know what videos you find the most entertaining. And then the comments are basically a lot of glazing. You're changing up what 90% of others do, and it's awesome to watch. It probably helps that I don't watch that much Pokemon content. Again, like I said earlier, I use this channel to watch Pokemon content creators, but I don't really watch content creators that do what I do. I don't watch a whole lot of, like, pack openings and stuff. I'll watch them in, like, shorts, but I don't watch a lot of, like, similar to what I do. And so I'm not like being influenced by these other channels, like, oh, hey, this is a good idea. And whether I'm directly stealing an idea from them, or it's just getting buried in my subconscious, so then I eventually steal it later down the line. That isn't really happening because I'm not really watching those. So if things on this channel feel unique, it's because I'm kind of doing it in isolation. So I appreciate the compliment. I hope that what I'm doing is unique. Oh, this is the one! So I did a video on, Ascended Heroes, and I was going through all of the new card art, and it was because of this comment right here, and I forgot where the comment was left. It makes sense it was on this poll. I'm stupid. When a new set drops, can we have a video just appreciating the new art, the various illustration rares, and secret rares? Perhaps a tier list of the ones that you personally like the most or least. That's basically exactly what I did. Ever since this comment was left, it was in the back of my head, like, I am doing that when Ascended Heroes drops. And I did. Like, right here, that's like one of the, like, ride or die viewers, right? I like it all, normal pack openings, weird Pokemon stuff, learning about other TCGs. So their answer was all of the above. And, like, I get that, right? But I still want to know, like, what entertains you the most? Yeah, a lot of comments saying this. The weird stuff's what got them into the channel in the first place. Yeah, that's kind of what helped get the channel to where it is. More foreign language. Yeah, they do it in other languages. Thai, yeah, they do it in a bunch of different languages. Yeah, Korean, Portuguese. I do the Korean cards, I do the Japanese, I do Chinese, and I do English. They do exist in other languages, but they can be pretty expensive to get your hands on here in the States. I kind of started work on a video that kind of revolves around this. It was kind of put on the back burner for now, but I do have something in mind I want to do for that. A request to do Estrels again. I mean, if Estrels wants to reach out to me again, I'd be down. All right, so I actually do have a handful of these in my polls. There's actually less than you would think of Pokemon game box art that has regional differences, and usually if there is, it's a very minor difference. So there's not as many of these as you would think. But this one is basically which box art was better, the English or the Japanese version of the Pokemon trading card game. And I can go ahead and like put you larger images on the screen somewhere so you can get a better look at them than what the people voting on this really got to choose from here. I don't have a firm opinion here. I think that they both look fine. I do think that the sizing on the energy symbols looks cleaner on the English one because they're all about the same size. They both do feature a Pokemon card on it, which is nice. But the English one, you can see it a bit more clearly. At least I'm also looking at the small image right now, to be fair. But that does kind of denote a bit more that it is for the trading card game. The background of both of them is blue, like the back of Pokemon cards. But again, the English one looks more like the back of a Pokemon card to me. I'm really mixed. Despite all of that, for marketing reasons, I think the English one is better. Just for the raw design look of it, I kind of like the Japanese one better. So no firm opinion. But the internet decided the English one was better, or 62%. I think the North American version is a lot more obvious what the game is supposed to be at a glance. I mean, if we could read Japanese, that would probably be a bit more clear. I think both of them do a pretty good job at conveying what the game is. Again, don't speak Japanese, and this like logo here might be a bit more familiar to people in Japan, at least back in the day. Of course, this has been kind of like the standard, you know, Pokemon logo, trading card game logo for forever. If the Japanese one had a Pokeball on it, it would be perfect. It kind of does. It's on the card back there. But yeah, I do think the Pokeball is a big reason for the English one for marketing reasons. The English one has a Pokemon TCG logo on it, making it very obviously a TCG game. Yes, no, yeah, it does, yeah. But the other one, like, you know, you have like the energy symbols, you also have the card back there. I feel like it's still pretty obvious that the Japanese one is a trading card game too. Alright, which of the Hishuian starters has the best signature move? So, Decidueye's Triple Arrows, Typhlosion's Infernal Parade, or Samurot's Ceaseless Edge. Now look, I'm a simple man, alright? I actually absolutely love our new Samurott form. The Hishuian Samurott is beautiful. It's one of my favorite starters, to be honest, the Hishuian Samurott. But the Decidueye is like just slightly higher for me. And when it comes to their signature moves, Ceaseless Edge is very iconic to me. and I do think it is the cooler looking move at the very least. But also, I'm the archery guy, so I'm going to go with triple arrows. For anyone who doesn't know, I used to be super big on archery. Now I live in an apartment where I can't use my bow, but yes, I have a bow. I can go grab... I can probably get my bow out. Hey, look! It's a bow! I have had this thing for an extremely long time. I used to be super into archery. The issue is that where I live, I haven't been able to shoot this thing in years. I honestly don't even know how much I would trust the string on it anymore. But it's a very basic compound bow. But it has your little notch on here because I have a thing for it that I was told I should start using, and I hated using it. I can show you. But everything in here is still, nice and intact. Like it's still a bow. I just realized I was not full screened that entire time. I am stupid. There's the bow in less blurry view. But I was told to start using this thing right here. It's basically a trigger for a bow, and the idea is you have this little notch back here on the back of the string. You pull the trigger, then you put it over that notch, and now it's attached to that. Put your wrist through here, and now your bow has a trigger. So you're kind of more pulling with the wrist than you would be traditionally, right? But the idea is it makes it more stable, so whenever you pull it back, you would pull the trigger to release. I guess professional shooters love these things, and they're like beloved. So it was purchased for me as a gift. I hate it. I hated this thing. I was so much worse whenever I used it. Maybe I just didn't give it enough time and enough practice, but I sucked with it. Also, it came with this that you could attach to it to, like, put your arrows in. It honestly always kind of bothered me, and I never really used it that much. Also, I think it's broken. Okay, no, it still locks in. So yeah, arrow tips would go here, and then, kind of out this way, right? It always kind of bothered me. I never really liked having it on there. It just kind of pops off real easy. I can, like, well, maybe. Yeah, just like that, and it pulls out. I still remember whenever I broke this thing, I was wearing a jacket, and I pulled the string back, and my jacket got caught in here, and it actually de-strung the bow. I pulled it back, and I let go, and nothing happened. Yeah, it completely ruined it. So, if you don't know, to restring a compound bow, it's a crazy amount of pressure. You basically have to have, like, a press to flex it into place, right? And so we had to get it restrung, and the bow wasn't at its, like, max tension, whatever the word is for that. So we were like, hey, while you're at it, go ahead and max the thing out. So now it's at its max, like, pull weight. But I haven't got to use this thing in many years. So yes, I'm still an archery nerd. In any video game where you can use a bow, I'm pretty much always the bow guy. So yeah, going with triple arrows. However, sadly, the internet doesn't agree. Luckily, it got second place, 31%, but then Infernal Parade actually got first. I wonder if it more has to do with the fact that it's Typhlosion than it has to do with the attack, which is always going to be something, right? If you like a Pokemon, you're going to like its signature move more, right? And yeah, to my knowledge, Ceaseless Edge is like a very powerful move, and you can tell by the comments here. We have a lot of S+ ranked players voting in this poll, clearly. Sarcasm. Ceaseless Edge's setting spikes while attacking is very good. I'm surprised Ceaseless Edge is currently the least popular option, given it's basically single-handedly makes Shishui and Samurott a viable Pokemon. The other two look cooler, sure, but the utility of Night Slash that also sets the spikes is too good to pass up. Ceaseless Edge has the most potential in battles. Triple Arrows is too low for BP, and Infernal Parade is worse Bitter Malice. I mean, yeah, but have you considered that they're arrows and it's cool? Alright, which non-legendary past Paradox Pokemon is your favorite? Part 1. There's a very specific reason why I say non-legendary here. But starting off here in Part 1, we have Great Tusk, Screamtail, Brute Bonnet, and Fluttermane. Fluttermane, like I said earlier, has a lot of fans, but I'm gonna have to go with Great Tusk in this first part. Man, I'm just a second place guy, aren't I? I got second again, 34%. Fluttermane at first, only 2% higher of the 1,700 votes, right? It was close. Then Screamtail, then Brute Bonnet. Screamtail, though Fluttermane is a close second. Sure, it's just a bigger Jigglypuff, but it's a bigger Jigglypuff with style. I mean, yeah, it is more stylistic than the regular Jigglypuff. So then we go on to part 2, Slitherwing, Sandy Shocks, and Roaring Moon. I'm gonna have to go with Sandy Shocks. No, I'll go Slitherwing. I like Sandy Shock's design. I feel like it's very underappreciated, but Slitherwing is cooler. I think Roaring Moon is a bit overhyped. Yes, it's Salamence. Yes, Salamence is cool. I think regular Salamence is cooler than Roaring Moon. I think its face looks a little funky. But in game, the wings being solid objects that never move. They're just solid giant things that are stuck on its back. Like, it looks really goofy. But of course, I'm pretty alone in thinking that. It's at 54%. Yeah, it took this one away. But hey, Slitherwing was close, but again, not enough love there for my new Magneton. Big Volcarona fan. I will say that it was a dramatic change from Volcarona to Slitherwing, in my opinion. Listen, it was never going to win, but the Magnemite line is my favorite Pokemon line, and Cindy Shocks is adjacent to that. I just find the design so funny, especially when it walks around. I love it. Like I said, it's underappreciated. Impish Matt, you have my endorsement here. Root Bonnet, again, people not. It says that it's part 2. Sandy Shocks deserves better. I agree. It doesn't deserve to win, but it deserves better. So this is actually kind of an interesting note. So part 1 had 1,700 votes, which is above the average. I say the average is like 1,200, right? 1,700 votes is a pretty good number for me. 1,300, that's basically where my average tends to lie. And then for some reason, part 3, I guess because they're legendaries, it blew up with 2.5 thousand votes. But it does say non-legendary past Paradox Pokemon. Yes, Walking Wake, Gouging Fire, Raging Bolt. Those are not legendary Pokemon. It's very weird that they're not considered to be legendary Pokemon, but we'll get into that here in a minute. Personally, I'm going to go with Gouging Fire. I kind of hate all 3 of them. I think that it ruined Suicune, it ruined Entei, and it ruined Raikou. I don't like any of the 3, but I like Gouging Fire the most because it's kind of the least changed. It's just Entei with a hat. But Walking Wake actually won, with Gouging Fire and Raging Bolt being equal. I do think Walking Wake was the most interesting of the changes, but I still don't care for it. And yeah, I did leave a pinned comment. I feel like I should clarify this. Yes, these Pokemon are not legendary Pokemon. Raging Bolt is so funny. I love him. No, they've ruined my boy. They just stretched out his neck. I always thought they were legends. Now, to be fair, I did too. Whenever I was first making this poll. So the reason why I said no legendaries is because Koraidon and Miraidon are the only future and past Paradox legendaries, I believe. So I figured if Koraidon and Miraidon are in the future and past polls, it's not exactly fair, right? They're going to win. I want to remove them and see how it does with the 2 big boys taken out of the equation. Giraffe. As a TCG player, I am required to vote for Raging Bolt. I like all 3 way better than the future Paradox Bonds. I hard disagree. Crazy to see that 50% of the community is wrong. This one is more about what I dislike, yet less. 100% echo. Raging Bolt front paws remind me of that the kind of guy that goes to the gym and ends up looking like a pigeon. Gouging Fire is just waves away. Walking Wake is just a bit silly with these arms. Walking Wake gets my vote just for looking funny. Yeah, again, to me, it's a vote of which one do I dislike the least. All 3 hideous and so much worse than the originals. I agree. I think that when we give Pokemon new forms, which isn't necessarily new forms, that's not technically the right term here, but for the sake of argument, when we give Pokemon new forms, they don't necessarily have to be better. Better is an opinion, right? But in the general opinion of the masses, I think that they should aim for equal or better design. And I don't think any of these 3 hit that mark. Yeah, so here is my crash out. These are legendary Pokemon. And I just said they are not, one Google search away. And I was a little rude on this, but it's because not only did I say non-legendary here, I also posted this to clarify they're not legendary Pokemon. And yes, again, I also thought that they were until I looked it up. So I understand being caught off guard and confused. But you could look it up before you leave your response. But then they said they're literally Paradox, Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. They're legendary Pokemon. That's not how that works. So at the time, I don't remember where I was. I basically had nothing else to do. And so I did this. From the Walking Wake page of Bulbapedia, they are both based on, and this is in regards to, I left it here somewhere, in regards to Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. They're both based on a legendary Pokemon that is a member of a legendary trio. Despite being based on legendary Pokemon, they are both not considered legendary Pokemon themselves. And then, yes, I know, this is Google AI overview. I understand, you should not trust the Google AI overview. You could still look at it to look at its sources. The reason why I included the Google AI overview in this response was because if they had Googled it, this would have been the first thing that they would have seen, right? Should they be trusting it? No. But if you're also just going to blatantly argue for something incorrect, you're probably also going to trust the first thing that an AI tells you. But Google's AI said, no, Walking Wake isn't officially classified as a legendary Pokemon. It's a Paradox Pokemon, a separate category for ancient feature forms like Suicune, though it has legendary level power, was event exclusive, and is linked to the legendary Suicune, creating a gray area for some fans. The Pokemon fandom page does not qualify any of them as legendary, which they do for legendary Pokemon. From Prima Games. In short, no, Walking Wake is not a legendary Pokemon. Walking Wake is a Paradox Pokemon, and both it and the term itself were introduced in Generation 9. I can also not find any official Pokemon Company, Game Freak, Creatures, or Nintendo post, update, or statement in which they call any of these Pokemon a legendary. They are not legendary. You can have your own headcanon. That's fine. You can also be wrong. That's fine. But don't mislead people by lying to them because you were wrong about something. I am happy to admit when I'm wrong. That's part of running a public YouTube channel, and you should be willing to do the same. So again, to me, it's just like, okay, this is a little dumb. I clarified twice that they are legendary, and, well, that they're not legendary, then they come in with this. And so, okay, I probably shouldn't have done a little, like, winky face, right? Like little rude. But then to not look it up and to just argue your point again, like, yeah, I crashed out. I was bored. Anyways, now we finally get to the finale. Non-legendary past Pokemon is your favorite. We have Fluttermane, Roaring Moon, and Walking Wake. I don't like Walking Wake. I really don't. So Roaring Moon and Fluttermane. I feel like Fluttermane wins this, right? It has to be Fluttermane or Roaring Moon that wins this. I feel like if Roaring Moon wins, it's just because of the connection to Salamence. I'm gonna go Fluttermane. I don't really care for any of the three. I'm gonna go Fluttermane. Yeah, okay, yep, Salamence wins. Salamence wins, it for Roaring Moon. 49%. Then, Walking Wake at 29, and Fluttermane at 22. Fluttermane looks edgy, I love it. I'm surprised Roaring Moon isn't winning by a mile. Well, it kinda did in the end. So here we get to some fun ones. Fun. The gender differences in Pokemon. Sometimes they're very stand out, sometimes they're very hidden. Like, the most common example is the heart tail on female Pikachu. But there are a lot of Pokemon gender differences, and most people don't know a majority of them. In fact, I'm still kind of learning them as I go. So this one is for Floatzel. The female has a single bump on its back, while the male has two. I honestly don't care. I feel like the two bumps just kind of feels more balanced to me, and more like an aquatic creature, so I'd probably go male. And the internet agrees, 66 to 34. However, the top comment does actually disagree. Kind of shocked that female is losing. I've always liked the look of female Floatzel better. I like the one bump because it looks like a dorsal fin. That actually makes a lot of sense. Only two Pokemon share a ice-flying type combo. Which do you prefer, Articuno or Delibird? I mean, hey, Delibird won another poll earlier, right? So for these polls of the type combinations, every Pokemon type combo that there's only two Pokemon that fit in the category of, those are all included in my list of polls. If there's 3 Pokemon, I think those are all included as well. If there are 4, I have probably most of them, but there are some that I have left out. So yes, that does mean sometimes you're going to get some pretty obvious winners here. Articuno versus Delibird at 1.5 thousand votes. I wonder who's going to win. Whoa, what do you mean it was the Generation 1 Legendary Icebird Articuno with 81% of the 1.5 thousand votes? Who would have seen it coming? Poor Delibird, even though I picked Articuno knowing full well who was losing. Anybody ever play that? God, this is really showing my age. Anybody ever play Learn to Fly? Learn to Fly was a fantastic game series. Bro is a fucking penguin and he's flying type. Anything could be a flying type if you throw it hard enough. That was the entire premise of Learn to Fly. Uh-oh, this is how we start arguments. Who are the lost ones who like Delibird more? Me, I am one. Me, Delibird is a silly little guy. How can you not love him? Me, because Delibird is better and more interesting as a character design. Articuno is just bird but ice. Yeah, it's a cold bird but ice. Me, I love Delibird a ton. Pokemon don't have to be good for me to like them. That's super fair. I love Beedrill. Beedrill's terrible. Me, Articuno's design is boring. At least they fixed it with the Galarian one. I mean, Articuno's not my favorite of the three by any means, but I still like it, but I do have to agree the Galarian form is cooler. Yeah, cooler. If you could pick a Pokemon move to have as a real-life superpower, which of these would you take? And feel free to suggest others. We have Bulk Up, Teleport, Attract, and Transform. So, to me, I question Bulk Up, right? Is it temporary, right? Because my understanding is Bulk Up only lasts for so long, so, like, yeah, you can get, like, roided out muscles, but then, like, how long is it gonna last, right? It might last you long enough to get the date, but not long enough to keep the date, right? Or it might, you know, help you out with doing one physical task, but I don't know, how much PP does it have, right? It still seems really useful, but then you compare it to Teleport. Teleport's kind of huge, man. Like, I don't know about you guys, how often you travel, like, where you live, like, how long is your commute to work? Luckily, my commute to work is, well, my bed is right there, through a wall on this side of the room. So I have to, like, get out of bed, walk out of the door, take a sharp right, like, make a U-turn, and walk in this room. So my commute to work is actually pretty short now. But for a good 10 or so years of my life, it was not that. I live in a tourist town. Traffic can go from one day of, hey, 10-minute drive to work, you're nice and clear, and then the next day it's a 3-hour drive to work because, uh-oh, there's an event in town, and good luck finding parking at the place that you work at. And no, 3 hours is not a joke, by the way. Like, that's an actual thing that will happen here. More than once a year, like 3-hour drive to just go do what I have to do to make money. Literally, the average speed between, like, where I live and my job would be about 1 mile an hour. But on top of that, not just teleporting to get to, like, work, but, like, anywhere that you would want or need to go. Like, I mean, there are parts of the world that you could just go see that otherwise you wouldn't be able to afford the travel to get there. Like, teleport just sounds fantastic. And, I mean, I'm lazy, alright? I wanna get me a snack, teleport to the kitchen. I'm injured and I gotta go to the hospital. I don't have to pay for an ambulance ride, that's one upside. Second off, I can probably save my life by just teleporting to the hospital. So Attract, if you voted for Attract, I think you just might need to work on yourself a bit. That's a little concerning. And then Transform, which could also kind of work like Attract, right? I'm trying to think of practical applications for Transform. I mean, just becoming someone else temporarily. Like, if you worked for the, like, CIA or something, Transform is probably super useful. But in real day-to-day life, like, just doing what I do, I can't imagine Transform would be all that beneficial. So, I'm going with Teleport. And, yeah, 1.3 thousand votes, 63% of those agreed with Teleport. Then actually Transform at 26, which is very interesting. And Bulk Up and Attract being tied, that's weird to me. Also, if you're a dude, you can just use Bulk Up for Attract, right? Like, similar ballpark here. Like, it's weird that Bulk Up isn't higher against Attract. Picking Teleport purely so I can go back and forth to work without having to drive. Exactly. I'm pretty much deleting the need for a vehicle if I can just pop up somewhere on time every time. 100%. Like, I hate traveling. I hate driving, man. Like, I hate it. My job for a while was to drive during those, like, 10 years. It wasn't just getting to work. I was driving all day. You know, not all day, but multiple trips a day for my job. Like, man, if I could just teleport, that'd be huge. Like, yeah, you could argue, like, well, you might still need a car. What if you have to haul something? Most things that you're hauling are going to be things that you could at least pick up for a couple seconds, right? Like, my bed is a heavy mattress. Could I pick up that mattress for about 4 seconds? Hell yeah, I could. Pick up that mattress, teleport, problem solved, right? Like, you wouldn't really need a car for transport either. Like, if you're, like, grocery shopping or whatever, like, I already bring in all of my groceries in one go, whether it kills me or not. Like, I can teleport them. In worst case scenario, if you have a lot of things to transport, Just teleport more than once. Lock on. Imagine never missing anything for the rest of your life. I mean, you basically have built-in aimbot, right? Like, for getting military use cases for that. Like, man, I could make a living as an esports player.
Thanks.
A chance for us all to learn. Attachment is the source of free land. They have returned.
Let the Kitsune guide you. Rocket barrage incoming.
Transform and not even close. The amount of tomfoolery and mischief you can get up to is unmatched, and I love the silly vibes. I mean, if you just want to be like a menace to society, Transform is probably pretty good. I feel like you could achieve a lot of that with teleport too. The teleport worked the way it does in the games. Why don't you only be able to use it to go back to your house or the last place you visited instead of going wherever you want? Even if that's the case, I'd still take it over Attract, Transform, and Bulk Up. Even if I could only use it to get home. Ooh, maybe not. Because what about my car? Like, I drive somewhere and then I teleport home. How am I getting back to my car? I don't know. I feel like in that case, I'd probably go for Transform or Bulk Up. Probably Bulk Up. Honestly, I would have Metronome because I could get something good or bad. That sounds terrifying. That sounds like a way to ruin your life real fast. Yeah, gambling. Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm going to use Metronome. Hope I get what I want. Whoops, that was Explosion. Hard to know investing for the future. All right, we have an argument here for Attract. Do people newt? Do people not realize how powerful Attract would be, like, at all? The power to make someone fall in love with you so much that, A, if it's the... Sorry, dyslexia or typos, I don't know which. A, if it's the game move, they would harm themselves blindingly, or B, if it's... animes. Oh, okay, I get it, like the move from the game. They would harm themselves blindingly. And then B, if it's from the anime, then it makes them so blindly in love that they would do anything for you. And if it's anime, prepare for a good life. You sneak into one charity gala, just one. That's a really good point. I feel like we're going full villain arc here, though, right? Like, teleport. I'm not hurting anybody by teleporting around. I'm saving myself a lot of time. Like, with Attract, you're kind of really messing people up real bad. Like, we're just talking full-on mind control at this point. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't be a great power trip. What I'm saying is, if you're playing, like, a morality-based video game, like Fable or Mass Effect or KOTOR, you're going real hard on the evil side here. That bar is gonna be full, buddy. But also, what are they gonna do about it? Payday. That's a fantastic option. I only have 3 options, so I already know Attract. That's fantastic. See out here with the confidence. Bulk Up. I'd get my gym time back into my day to do other stuff. Again, if it is permanent, then yeah, that's fantastic. But assuming that it is, like, a temporary buff, it'd still be nice to have. But I feel like the time that you spend at the gym could be recovered by just teleporting to the gym and wherever else you need to go, right? Alright, so I didn't know how many of these I would be doing today, and I figured, screw it, I'll get until I've been recording for 2 hours. And we have now been recording for 2 hours, so we're gonna go ahead and end it off with this last poll. Which starter Pokemon from Paldea is your favorite? We have Sprigatito, aka the Weed Cat, as I prefer to call it, Fuecoco, or Quaxley. Now, I will say, when we first saw Scarlet and Violet, and we were first introduced to our starters here, I really like Quaxley. I can't remember the name of the game. Fuecoco looks like a creature for another game. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I'll image up here if I can remember. And I really like that. Like, Fuecoco was kind of calling to me. But Quaxley just, I don't know, I loved his kind of goofy little design. And so I was kind of in the middle, but I was leaning towards Quaxley, and there was that whole thing of, like, people doing, like, hashtag Team Fuecoco and whatever, and I was like, screw it, I'll just go all in on Quaxley. I normally try not to get spoiled on new games, and sadly that didn't happen. And, well, I'll say sadly, that's probably the best time it could have happened. I got spoiled for the final Evos for all 3 of them. I'm very thankful for whoever put that in my face. that I got spoiled on the starters, because holy god, Quackavole is like just one of the least appealing things I've ever seen from Pokemon. So I did end up going with Fuecoco, and I have not looked back. I also feel like Quaxley himself, the design feels kind of ruined to me. Now that I've seen Quaxwell and I already, the name's now, Quackavole. Now that I've already seen its 2 evolutions, the design of Quaxley is kind of lesser to me. It feels weird. Fuecoco, I love the little guy, and he has grown on me so much. I still don't think that, honestly, I don't think any of our starters are fantastic in their final forms. I love Skeletors, don't get me wrong. It's not exactly what I expected Fuecoco to become. I still love him. It's still really high up there for me in the starter, like the starter category. I would just say that out of the 3 base forms, I think that their final forms were all a bit disappointing to me, all 3 of them. But maybe it's I was building up too much hype for myself for what they could become. I will say I do have Fuecoco. Skeledirge is shiny. And I have Fuecoco as a shiny. I was actually just trying to get Skeledirge, and I accidentally got 2 shiny eggs. I really wanted it, even though I don't like it shiny. It literally like clown dinosaur here, but you know, it exists. So obviously my vote is going to go to Fuecoco. Let's see what the internet had to say. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I expected. I was expecting Weedcat and Fuecoco to be pretty equal, with Weedcat winning and Quaxley to be very low. For a starter poll, that's actually pretty abysmal. You might look at this and think, hold on, we've seen lower votes before, right? Like, we've seen less than 10%. Well, not only is this only a 3-way poll, not a 4, for a starter poll, to have this big of a gap right here, doing Quaxley and Fuecoco, you know the Pokemon Company has some regrets about this design. And I don't even think it has to do with Quaxley. I don't think it has to do with Quaxley itself. I think a lot of it has to do with Quackavole. Like, it was disappointing, man. That's all there is for me to say on it. I was just super disappointed. My throat is like giving out, so luckily we're ending soon. I will stand for Quaxley till the sun blows up. See, I feel like a lot of the times whenever it's like a landslide like this, or one of the Pokemon loses heavily, it ends up being the top comment is somebody that's defending it. Even though I chose Quaxley, my favorite now is Sprigatito, cute little kitty. Why can't I remember which one it was? There was a generation where I did the same thing. Where it was with Chikorita. I went with Chikorita originally. And really liked Chikorita. And then I saw Meganium and I went over to Totodile. And I actually kind of like Totodile more than I did Chikorita. Well, than I do Chikorita now. So that happens, right? Sometimes your opinions change. I ditched my starter for my actual starter, a shiny Psyduck 5 minutes after leaving the tutorial. Oops, I was kind of cut off screen. My bad, let me get it back up there. That is actually crazy luck to just find a shiny Psyduck right after starting the game. I didn't have much shiny luck at all in Scarlet and Violet until I had the shiny charm. It's the same thing with, Legend ZA. I had like no shiny luck at all. Like, I remember, like, I had streamed my playthrough of it, and people are like, hey, how many shinies have you found? And I'm like, I forgot that was even an option in this game. Like, I haven't seen anything. Like, people are posting in my Discord, like, photos of all the shinies that they're finding, and it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this mission now. Maybe I'll find one along the way. I've gotten a handful now, though. Yeah, right here. I like all 3 basics. The final evolutions, not so much. I don't think that the final evolutions are bad, aside from Quackavole. I think that they were just a letdown from at least what I was expecting personally. Fuecoco was just knockoff Charizard line. I don't understand that at all. It's a crocodile. Like, Charizard is a kind of lizard. Sure, it's supposed to be a lizard, but it's basically a dragon. Like, how is it a knockoff Charizard line? I don't see that at all. It's like saying that Chimchar is a knockoff Charizard line, and Tepig is a knockoff Charizard line because they're all fire lines, like fire starter lines. Like, I don't see that at all, man. Sprigatito is my all-time favorite starter. I feel like a lot of Sprigatito fans are like straight up ride or die Sprigatito fans. Like, the second they saw that thing, they They looked at their favorite Pokemon and dropped it. Quaxley is fine. It's the next two evolutions that freak me out 100%. Yeah, we have some more defenders here for our Quaxley. I never really understood this. People are tired of the humanoid starters. You think you're picking a cute little cat, and then it's just a cat on a human body with some magic around it. They're terrible. I don't know. The argument of humanoid Pokemon is always weird to me. They're all creatures, right? And yes, they're standing on two legs. I never think about it. I literally don't, like, until somebody mentions the phrase, until someone says the phrase humanoid Pokemon, I don't think about the fact that they are in fact humanoid Pokemon, unless it is like crazy human. If we're talking like Machamp, who is just a guy, right? Like, most Pokemon that are bipedal, I don't think as being a humanoid Pokemon until it is mentioned. I don't know, like, is it just my brain that I don't see these creatures that way as being humanoid? So when people are like angry at humanoid Pokemon, I don't understand the argument because I have never looked at a Pokemon and go, that looks too much like me. Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, some Pokemon I think it would be better if they didn't evolve to stand on two legs, but some of them, it's cool to see that they do, right? Bipedal is generally a positive thing in evolution, right? So, like, to me, it's kind of a status of evolving that they have become bipedal. They have evolved to this point where they are on two legs. Like, to me, it almost feels more powerful when they become bipedal, right? And I understand you don't always want power, right? But not every Pokemon line is meant to be cute thing and then evolves into cute thing and evolves into cute thing. Like, I like the idea that some Pokemon start as cute thing and become cool thing, right? And some do the whole cute line and some do the whole powerful line. But I feel like a lot of it is people just being disappointed because they set the expectation for what they wanted it to become. And then when they saw what it does become, they're upset. But then other people had expectations for it. Their expectations were met, right? Like, people are... you're setting your own standard than being mad that it didn't meet your standard. And that's the same thing that I'm doing. Like, I'm not saying that I'm innocent of this as well. It's the same thing I'm doing with Quaxley, evolving into Quackable. I had like a higher standard for what I expected it to become, and it didn't become that, right? So I understand that frame of reference, but people who are always angry about Pokemon stand on two legs, I never understood it personally. And it is a large vocal part of the Pokemon community, so I know I'm upsetting some people here. But again, I think it's just the way my brain works. I never looked at them, I never look at a Pokemon that's on two legs like Masquerada and be like, that's a humanoid. Like, no, it's a cat. It's just on two legs. Like, I never think about the fact that it's on two legs. I don't know. I also feel like there are a lot of people out there who complain about that because they think that it makes themselves look sophisticated because other people complain about it, and they're like, I'm going to agree with the people that hate the current thing, right? Like, they hate the current thing, so I'm going to say what they're saying because I also want to hate the current thing. I should clarify, by the way, I'm not specifically calling out Nacho Fish 447 here. I'm sure you're a cool guy, and if you think that and you're not just following the leader, then sure, right? I'm not saying you specifically. It's an extremely common argument that I hear. I don't see it. I think the Pokemon universe would be boring if 95% of Pokemon were quadrupeds. Like, I kind of like the bipeds, man. I like them equally, but it's cool to have a mix of design. So anyways, that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all of that fun stuff. This has probably been like a very long video, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed it. Like the video I'm going to go watch now by Bumbles McFumbles. But as always, a massive thank you to all of my YouTube channel members. Cookie Horror, Jabe, Obsidian, Smokey the Sun, Andrew B, Bod, Reed, Kitty Health 21, Lana C, Kiss Ember, Sucker Punch, Lycan, Car, Reese, Willow, Obsidian, Panther, Ineffable, Under Mosquito, Len, QB, Crispy Demon Dog, Aquamarina 369, Coulter Gaming, Wonderbread, Gracie Blackwell, Thompson, Sheeny Brewster, Ugor, Most Modest, Shadow Family 15, Goaty, I said that really weird, Goaty, That Souls Girl, Psycho Panda, Misha, Emma, Keith, Wounds Do, Imon VT, Alexandria Fiend, Linny Pop, Pogo, Heather, Lou, Pikachu, God Doesn't Limp, Cosmic Cards, Tobit, Ben A, Shauna, Turzo, Kaiser, Wilhelm, I actually lost track of where I was. I've been reading these for so long. I had that memorized. I have parts of this memorized in like chunks. Bruno, Moakley TV, Corey, Javoy, NickyPoo42, Stephen Lee Martin, Void, Backyard Nature Player, Foxy, Zinc, Poles, Castifier, Sir Spamalot, Kentaro H, Diamond Garfield, and Julian Brick. If you guys want to check out some more stuff, there are things here that you can do that with. Over here is linked to Discord if you're not already in there. Thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully I will see all of you next time. Goodbye for now.